What's going on, Shiny Crew? I'm TheSilverSlasher, and the day that we've all been waiting for since 2013 is finally here. I am proud to announce that our next main series Pokemon games will be Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. I would have loved to have made a reaction video of the Nintendo Pokemon Direct that they had earlier, but I may or may not have been watching it on my phone in the middle of a class. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we got no gameplay footage from this Direct, but that honestly just builds the hype and speculation even more. What they did give us, however, is a small flurry of concept art that makes me want to scream with joy. We'll start off with this picture, which is obviously the new design for the Pokemon Center, and I really like it a lot. It has a somewhat weird mixture of sort of futuristic and non-futuristic characteristics, and I think it's really cool. Next, we have this shot, which actually takes the piss out of me because it's a bunch of cars. For any of you who know about my love for Skylanders and Fossil Fighters, you'll know that cars don't necessarily excite me when it comes to video games. If this is perhaps for one area of the game where there's a lot of cars, that would be pretty cool. Regardless, we see a green truck with some Pokemon in the back, an awesome fire truck with a Blastoise on top serving as the water cannons, and a Pokeball van which is likely to serve as the Pokemon Center if you're in this car-themed area. Then we have a picture of Masada pointing to a wall of concept art, and what he seems to be pointing at is a design for cafes. This is a really cool idea, especially if the coffee works just like any healing item similar to Moo Moo Milk. This blue design above it looks like it may be the new design for Pokemarts, because as we all know, marts have kind of been reduced to little counters inside the Pokemon Centers these days. It could be something different, but just based off the color scheme, I think it would be safe to say that's what it is. The next thing we got was this screen, which is loaded with things to analyze. We'll start at the top left with this red roofed building that's got a yellow car. This is a car game, isn't it? It's a car game, isn't it? Then we have what looks like some sort of room, and I really can't tell what it is, but I'll throw out a possibility later on. We can see the floor plan of a house, which I think would very likely be the player's house, but we have no clue yet. This is one of the most intriguing things about this reveal. Just look at this place. It's some sort of beachside mansion, or maybe even a water-type gym. It's got Spheal, Staryu, Chinchou, Magikarp, and Horsey plastered all over it. And there's even a Horsey fountain. I mean, you could make the argument that it doesn't have the gym logo on it, so there's no way it's a gym, but a fancy place like this could have a gate in front of it, and maybe it's on that gate. Or maybe we could take the easy way out and say that maybe it's just not in this one shot, and please don't tell me that this is here so you can park a car. Also, this person is holding a suitcase, so it's likely not a water gym and is just a resort hotel or something. But what if it's both? Lastly, we get a look at a brand new Pokemon. Sort of. We see his 3D model being constructed in the program Autodesk Maya, and that's about it. Many people have looked at this and just thought, oh, it's Fletchling. But that leads me to one glaring issue. We already know this is for 3DS. Why would they need to make Fletchling's model again? This is without a doubt a new bird Pokemon with a similar color scheme. It's actually a little disappointing. I want to see something new and crazy. I don't want another bird with the same colors as the last bird. But the thing is, all of this led me to one crazy theory. So a lot of people have been taking an important question and slapping such a silly, unsure title on it. That question is this Pokemon Generation 7 or Generation 6.5? First off, a lot of people have been looking to this article on the Pokemon website that reads, "The next era of Pokemon games is being announced. Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon are coming out for systems in the Nintendo 3DS family in holiday 2016, with a new world, new Pokemon, and new adventures to discover." And also says, Pokemon from Pokemon Omega Ruby, Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, Pokemon X, and Pokemon Y can also be brought into Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon in the same way, when referring to the Pokemon Bank. We already know that it's a new world with new Pokemon and a new story. That's kind of the whole point of Generation 6.5 in the Southern Kalos theory. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I talked about it in this theory about Magiana that I made when it was leaked in Korokoro, so you can go check that out. The fact that you can't trade between Sun and Moon in the old games isn't surprising at all. They didn't even update X and Y for like 20 Mega Evolutions. There's no way they'd do it for like 70 to 80 entirely new Pokemon. Next, let's take a look at this screenshot. Do you see who's standing there? That's freaking Red. Does this mean that it's going to be a sequel to Red, Blue, and Yellow? Well, I can't really deny that, since it's possible it could also be a sequel to Red, Blue, and Yellow, X and Y all at the same time. It could also mean that something is back. You know what I'm talking about. Freaking character customization. We've been begging for it back since X and Y, and this could mean that we're finally getting it, as this could just be a trainer dressed like Red. Not to mention that the way GameFreak talks about character customization, it seems like they want it to be exclusive to Kalos with its focus on beauty and fashion. And where else do you see mansions this extravagant but Kalos? all the more reason this could be part of Generation 6.5, right? The final nails in the coffin, the final reason that I believe there's no way these games aren't Generation 6.5 is simply that too much was left unanswered in X and Y. What's with the power plant? What's with Zygarde? What's with Volcanion? Why was there no post-game? They can't just leave us hanging with nothing but a movie to tie it up. Zygarde and Volcanion would not have been in X and Y if they had nothing to do with Generation 6. And these games have to do with Zygarde. Look at Perfect Zygarde's chest. Dark blue for X, dark red for Y, light blue for Moon, and orange for Sun. This is not a coincidence. All of these games are connected to Zygarde. All of these games are connected to Generation 6. Okay, so this is how the video was going to end. Right here, with me saying that I thought the game was Generation 6.5 because there's not much to prove that it's Gen 7. It's a good thing I had some time to think while editing this video because I would have been dead wrong. Everything we needed to see GameFreak's plan was sitting right in front of our faces. This is Generation 7. Why would I suddenly say that? Well, I did a little research and found out this region is based off of Hawaii. This is a yellow fire truck. Yellow fire trucks are famously found in Hawaii. This bird looks like a hummingbird, which are famous for being in Hawaii. The Pokemon Center looks like a hut, which can be found in Hawaii. Inside this hut, there appears to be a drink stand, and Hawaii is famous for its tropical drinks. In this screenshot, we can see that the land is surrounded by water, just like Hawaii, and there are palm trees, just like Hawaii. In Generation 6, the strange souvenir is a tiki head, which can be found in Hawaii. It's all here. There's no way this is not Hawaii, which means there's no way this is Generation 6.5. So, what do I think this means? What have I seen that I think GameFreak is doing to pull one over on all of us? Like I've said, I don't think there's any way this is not Generation 7 anymore. But there's also no way Generation 6 is over. These Pokemon wouldn't have been in X and Y at all if that were the case. GameFreak would have had no reason to even take the chances of them getting leaked by putting them in. And I feel like Generation 6 has the most unanswered things of any generation to date, and I think all of that is on purpose. We know that GameFreak likes to throw curveballs. They like to make what we're not expecting, which is why instead of Pokemon Gray, we got Black and White 2. People who think this is Gen 7 thought the curveball was that Gen 6 was ending early, and people who think it's Gen 6.5 thought the curveball was that the third installment would not take place in the same part of the region or have the same Pokemon. So what do I think? I think that Generation 7 is going to happen next with Sun and Moon, and it's going to follow a seemingly new and original plot, only to have the curveball be them going back to Generation 6 after 7 has already come out, so that they can connect the stories together and have one last Generation 6 or 6.5 story to end it all. It just seems like the perfect fake out to have the plot seemingly end for Gen 6, only to have them go back next year in a Kalos' story was left unfinished type of way. And it almost makes sense. I mean, there was so much we didn't know about in X and Y. There's so many secrets that we haven't cracked yet. And honestly, I think there's enough where they wouldn't be able to fit them all in one game in a good way. Just listen to what they say in the trailer. It all comes together in a brand new Pokemon adventure. Does that not sound like they're saying, hey, Sun and Moon are gonna tie up everything that couldn't be in X and Y? People have also talked about the fact that maybe it'll be a combination of Generation 6 and 7, and pull a Heart Gold Soul Silver on us by letting us go back over to Kalos for another 8 badges after completing this region, which is an interesting and honestly very possible idea. Regardless of whether this is Generation 7 or 6.5, the most important thing about this reveal, and what I think they were trying to get across with this video is that, well, it's Pokemon! It's a beloved gaming masterpiece of a franchise made for anyone, young or old, boy or girl, to enjoy. It brings us together. It unites us. That is the spirit of these new games. That is the spirit of Pokemon.